Have you ever let a single comment ruin your day? A careless remark, a harsh criticism, something small. Yet it lingers in your mind, making you question yourself. Words aren't just sounds. They shape how we see the world, how we see ourselves. In Buddhism, the concept of right speech teaches that words carry energy, they can uplift or destroy. But here's the truth. You don't have to accept every word spoken to you. Just like refusing a gift you don't want. You can choose to reject negativity before it takes root in your mind. So, the next time someone throws criticism your way, ask yourself, is this true? Is it helpful? Does it deserve my energy? If not, let it go. Because the words you accept shape the life you live. 1. The power of words. How negative speech shapes our reality. Words are more than just sounds. They carry energy and influence our thoughts, emotions, and even our destiny. In Buddhism, the concept of right speech is part of the Eightfold Path, emphasizing the importance of speaking with truth and kindness. However, many people unknowingly accept negative words from others, allowing them to take root in their minds and shape their self-perception. When someone criticizes you unfairly, or offers a harsh opinion disguised as advice, they are planting seeds of doubt in your mind. If you accept these words, they begin to grow, affecting your confidence and limiting your potential. The danger lies in how easily we internalize these messages, often without questioning their validity. A classic Buddhist parable illustrates this point. A man once approached the Buddha and hurled insults at him. The Buddha remained calm and did not react. Confused, the man asked why he did not respond. The Buddha replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man answered, "To the giver." The Buddha then said, "I refuse to accept your insults, so they remain yours." This story teaches us a valuable lesson. Just because someone says something about us, doesn't mean we have to accept it as truth. Instead of absorbing negativity, we can reject it and prevent it from influencing our self-image. A practical way to handle this in real life is to ask 3 questions when faced with criticism. Is it true? Does this criticism align with reality? Or is it just one person's perspective? Is it helpful? Will this feedback contribute to my growth? Or does it only serve to undermine me? Is it given with good intent? Some people criticize out of their own pain or insecurities rather than a genuine desire to help. If the answer to any of these questions is no, then the criticism is not worth your mental energy. Learning to filter the words we accept allows us to protect our peace and maintain control over our self-worth. 2. The trap of unjustified guilt. Freeing yourself from emotional manipulation. Guilt is a powerful emotion that can be used to control and manipulate people. Many of us unknowingly accept guilt for things that are not our responsibility, which keeps us stuck in a cycle of self-judgment and unnecessary suffering. One of the biggest sources of unjustified guilt comes from relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues. People may subtly or overtly blame you for their problems, making you feel responsible for fixing situations that have nothing to do with you. A well-known Buddhist story demonstrates this. 2 monks were traveling and came across a river where a woman struggled to cross. One monk picked her up and carried her to the other side. Hours later, as they walked, the other monk asked, "Why did you carry that woman? We are not supposed to touch women." The first monk replied, "I put her down at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her?" This story reveals how we hold onto guilt long after the moment has passed. We allow others' expectations or criticisms to weigh us down, even when there is no logical reason to do so. To free yourself from unjustified guilt, practice these steps. Identify whether the guilt is truly yours. Are you responsible for this issue? Or is someone else projecting their problems onto you? Distinguish between accountability and emotional manipulation. Taking responsibility for your actions is healthy, but accepting guilt for things beyond your control is not. Learn to say no without guilt. Many people struggle with this because they fear disappointing others. However, setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. When you stop carrying the guilt that doesn't belong to you, You gain the freedom to focus on what truly matters: your own growth and well-being. 3. The emotional burden of others. Recognizing when to detach. Compassion is a fundamental Buddhist principle. But there is a difference between empathy and carrying other people's emotional burdens as if they were your own. Many of us fall into the trap of absorbing others' pain, stress, or negativity, which ultimately drains our energy and affects our mental health. Think of it like this: if someone hands you a heavy rock, you have a choice: you can carry it, or you can leave it on the ground. The same applies to emotions. When someone unloads their problems onto you, you can listen with compassion, but you do not have to take on their suffering as your own. A common emotional trap is the feeling of obligation. How many times have you said yes to something just to avoid disappointing someone? This behavior may seem harmless in the short term, but over time, it pulls you away from your own needs and desires. To avoid carrying unnecessary emotional weight, follow these principles. Be aware of emotional manipulation. Some people use guilt or obligation to get what they want. Set boundaries without feeling selfish. It is not your job to fix everyone's problems. Prioritize your emotional well-being. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Detaching from emotional burdens does not mean you stop caring. It means you recognize what is yours to carry and what is not. 4. The fear of rejection. Breaking free from the approval trap. One of the most common reasons people stay in toxic situations, whether in relationships, careers, or social circles, is the fear of rejection. We often sacrifice our own happiness just to maintain acceptance from others. Buddhism teaches that attachment to approval is a major cause of suffering. When we depend on others' validation to feel worthy, we give them control over our self-esteem. Imagine a bird with a chain tied to its leg. No matter how much it wants to fly, it remains trapped. The same applies to those who live their lives seeking approval. Until they break free, they will never experience true freedom. To overcome the fear of rejection, practice these mindset shifts. Accept that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Ask yourself, am I sacrificing my happiness just to be accepted? Make choices based on your values, not the expectations of others. When you stop seeking approval, you gain the power to live authentically. 5. Transforming negativity into strength. Instead of resisting negativity, Buddhism teaches us to transform it. Negative experiences can either break us or make us stronger. It all depends on how we respond. A practical method for this transformation is reframing. When someone criticizes you, ask, what can I learn from this? When facing a challenge, ask, how can I use this as an opportunity for growth? When dealing with negativity, ask, how can I turn this energy into something productive? Another technique is using purpose-driven affirmations. When negativity arises, affirm a statement that redirects your mindset. This criticism does not define me. I choose to grow and improve. I will use this challenge as fuel for success. Instead of allowing negativity to drain you, channel it into action. The energy you would have wasted on stress can be redirected toward achieving your goals. 6. The illusion of obligation. Understanding true responsibility. One of the most common ways people lose their peace is by accepting obligations that are not truly theirs. Society, family, and even personal relationships impose expectations on us, often making us feel responsible for things we never agreed to. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of understanding what is truly our responsibility and what is not. Taking responsibility for our own actions is essential for growth. But when we start shouldering the burdens of others, we can lose ourselves. Think about a time when you felt pressured to do something just because it was expected of you. Maybe it was attending an event you didn't want to go to, fulfilling a family duty that drained you, or saying yes to extra work at the office to avoid disappointing your boss. These obligations may seem small in the moment, but over time, they accumulate and lead to stress, resentment, and exhaustion. The story of the merchant and the donkey. A merchant once traveled to a distant city with his donkey, carrying heavy bags of goods. On the way, another traveler asked for help in carrying their belongings. The merchant, being kind, agreed. Soon, another traveler made the same request. And then another. Before long, the donkey was overloaded and collapsed from exhaustion. This story is a perfect metaphor for how we overload ourselves with obligations that are not ours to carry. The merchant, out of kindness and a desire to please others, took on too much, leading to a complete breakdown. How to stop accepting false obligations? Ask yourself, is this really my responsibility? If the answer is no, don't take it on. Learn to say no without guilt. Your well-being should come first. Understand that not every request requires your help. Sometimes, people need to solve their own problems. By recognizing the difference between genuine responsibility and imposed obligation, you free yourself from unnecessary burdens and create space for what truly matters in your life. 7. The silent influence of toxic environments. We often focus on individual actions and relationships, but the environment we surround ourselves with plays a major role in our mental and emotional well-being. Buddhism teaches that everything is interconnected, meaning the energy of our surroundings directly affects our thoughts, behaviors, and inner peace. Have you ever noticed how spending time with certain people leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or demotivated? Conversely, being around uplifting, kind, and ambitious individuals can inspire you, even without direct conversation. This concept is deeply rooted in Buddhist wisdom. We absorb the energy of those around us. If you are constantly exposed to negativity, pessimism, or toxic behavior, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain a peaceful and positive mindset. The story of the lotus flower. The lotus is one of the most powerful symbols in Buddhism because it grows in muddy, dirty water yet remains untouched by the filth around it. Despite being surrounded by impurity, it rises above and blooms beautifully. This story serves as a reminder that while we may not always have control over our environment, we do have control over how we respond to it. We can choose to let negativity consume us, or we can remain like the lotus, growing in the face of adversity. How to create a positive environment. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. Distance yourself from negativity, even if it means reducing contact with certain individuals. Limit exposure to negative media. Constantly consuming bad news and toxic social media content can impact your mental health. Create a space that promotes peace. Whether it's your home, workspace, or even your phone notifications, curate an environment that nourishes your well-being. By choosing your environment wisely, you ensure that your inner peace remains unshaken, no matter what challenges arise. 8. The power of detachment. Letting go of what no longer serves you. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. We cling to people, possessions, beliefs, and even painful memories, often without realizing how much they weigh us down. The truth is, not everything is meant to stay in our lives forever. One of the hardest lessons to learn is when to let go. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a job that drains us, or a past mistake we keep reliving, holding on to things that no longer serve us only creates suffering. The story of the man crossing the river. A man was traveling when he reached a deep river with no bridge. Using logs and vines, he built a raft and safely crossed to the other side. Grateful for the raft, he decided to carry it on his back for the rest of his journey, even though it was no longer needed. This story represents how we often hold on to things out of habit, even when they have outlived their purpose. Just because something helped us once doesn't mean we need to carry it forever. Signs it's time to let go. It no longer adds value to your life. If something only brings stress, pain, or resentment, it's time to release it. You are holding onto it out of fear, not love. Are you keeping a relationship, job, or habit simply because you're afraid of change? It prevents you from moving forward. If something is keeping you stuck in the past, it's time to set yourself free. Letting go is not a loss, it is a gain. By releasing what no longer serves you, you make space for new opportunities, growth, and inner peace. 9. Mindfulness as a shield. How to protect your energy. One of the most effective ways to maintain inner peace is by practicing mindfulness. the ability to be fully present and aware in each moment. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the foundation for wisdom, allowing us to observe thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. Many people unknowingly absorb negative energy because they are not aware of their mental and emotional states. They react impulsively to situations, let external influences dictate their mood, and allow stress to consume them. The story of the wind and the bamboo. A strong wind blew through a field of bamboo trees. Instead of resisting, the bamboo bent with the wind, allowing it to pass through without breaking. This story teaches us that when we are mindful, we do not resist emotions or situations. We simply observe them and let them pass. Instead of reacting with anger, fear, or stress, we acknowledge our feelings, without allowing them to control us. Practical ways to strengthen your mindfulness. Pause before reacting. When faced with negativity, take a deep breath and observe your emotions before responding. Practice daily meditation. Even 5 minutes of mindfulness meditation can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings. Focus on the present. Anxiety comes from living in the future, and regret comes from living in the past. Mindfulness teaches us to live in the now. When you practice mindfulness, you become less reactive to negativity, more in control of your emotions, and more capable of protecting your energy. Incorporating these principles into your daily life will allow you to break free from negative influences, set healthy boundaries, and cultivate a life of balance and clarity. You do not have to accept everything that comes your way. Whether it's criticism, guilt, obligations, or negativity. By practicing discernment, letting go of what no longer serves you, and remaining mindful, you take back control of your life. Your energy is sacred, protect it, and you will discover a level of peace and happiness that few ever reach.